set. All right. So I'm Will Prentice from Amplis Foto. I'm a brand manager and technical manager up here in Toronto area, Canada. And I am here today with Travis Mc Connaghy. Did I say that right, Travis?
You did.
Perfect. All right. From Hahnemühle USA. And we're going to talk today about the Hahnemühle Natural Line papers. Let me tilt that away from the light. Travis is an expert on all things Hahnemühle and papers, and the Natural Line is a very exciting product for us. So I've brought Travis here virtually to have a discussion about what makes these papers so unique. And I've got a list of questions here, common things that I get asked, as well as Travis has supplied some questions that he's answering all the time. So hopefully this will help you understand the papers a little better. And you can order at Vistech anytime. They have them on their website and the sample packs in store. So without further ado, let's jump in here. Travis, is there anything you want to say before we fire along?
I just wanted to say greetings from outside of Chicago. It's nice to be here with you, Will. And I'm looking forward to talking about the Natural Line because it is my favorite range of papers. I worked a long time to get it realized. So looking forward to it.
Awesome. Yeah, the Windy City, it's snowing because it's November. So, keep that down there. But, well, no, we had some last night too.
Yeah. Well, it could be 75 in December too, though. You never know.
Yeah. Bring it on. All right. So what makes these papers so sustainable? The Natural Line leads me to believe there's environmental qualities to these papers. So tell me a little bit about that, Travis.
Well, the Natural Line of papers, as it is now, is made up of a bamboo, an agave, and a hemp paper. And part of what makes them so sustainable is that you can harvest the bamboo, agave, and hemp constantly throughout the year. You just plant it, it grows. Hemp you can harvest every 3 months. As it gets planted, bamboo you can harvest about every 3 to 6 months, depending on where it's growing and everything. It doesn't tear up the soil or cause any pollution when you do it either. And the agave plant is actually the fruit that they use to make tequila out of. So the leaves come off of the agave plant, and you can use that same plant 5 to 7 times throughout its lifespan before the plant needs to be regrown. And they have to do that anyway just to get the fruit off of it for tequila manufacturing. So we're not chopping down forests or using pesticides or anything like that, because these all grow without any type of pesticide either, which is a fantastic thing.
Wow. So are these papers then completely made of hemp, agave, and bamboo fibers, or are they mixed with other things?
No, I'm sorry, I forgot to cover that part. There is a portion of cotton in all 3 of them. The fantastic thing about the cotton, though, is that, as you know, and probably the people listening know, we do make a lot of cotton papers at our facility. The scraps from converting and cutting and things like that from our cotton papers we make, that's where the cotton content of these 3 papers comes from as well. So it's actually technically recycled cotton. Instead of throwing it out, we put it right back in and use it as part of these 3 papers as well. When I had heard that originally when we had bamboo 10 years ago, I thought that was one of the coolest things we could do as far as recycling goes. We take our own byproduct and just reuse it into a cool natural paper.
Yeah, wow, that is very cool. I don't believe that there's any other manufacturer of inkjet papers that is so committed to the environment, is there?
Not that I'm aware of, at least not publicly. I can't, of course, say how committed the other companies are. I'm sure they're not horrible by any means, but we kind of go out of our way to help the environment. Our mill has been located on the same plot of land since 1584, since before Germany actually existed, and it's on what's now what we would call a nature preserve. And we have special permits there. And the reason we're there is because of the pure water. We share the stream with actually a brewery that is older than Hahnemühle. It's Einbecker Brewery has been manufacturing beer using the same water we do since 1378. So they've got us by a long time. But part of the rules are, when paper is made, you take the water out, and then it does go back into the environment, and we have to put it in as clean or cleaner than we take it out. And there are strict tests involved with doing that. So we've been doing that, and since then we've just treated our area, and globally now we're getting more into it as well as we can from a sustainability aspect.
Wow, very cool. We'll have to make an arrangement for a little transfer of beer with our next Hahnemühle shipment.
Sounds good.
See if the beer is as good as the paper.
It is. I've been there.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. So we know that your cotton-based papers have archival quality. So what's the expected longevity of the natural line papers? Will they last as long?
Oh, we don't have official testing done quite yet. However, the oldest paper ever found in the world that was still in existence was made out of hemp. So I would have to guess that this would last at least as long as the current cotton papers. And chemically, agave is very similar, and so is bamboo to the hemp. They're all very similar with the fiber length and everything. So if I had to guess, it would be at least as long as all of our other archival papers, if not far longer. We will have official testing done at some point in the future. It just takes a while for all of that to get done and make it official with that.
Okay, yeah, I guess longevity testing would certainly take time. It's not something you can accelerate too much.
Yeah, they're only to a certain point. But yeah, we've especially the hemp paper, we know is going to last a long time even without the testing. There's copies of our Declaration of Independence that was written on hemp paper. In China, they've been making hemp paper since almost 4,000 years ago. And it's been used throughout history as a paper base, and all of the scraps are still in existence. So we know that'll last for a very long time.
Great. Now, are these also vegan papers?
Yes, they definitely are. And to be honest with you, all of our digital fine art collection is vegan. There is no animal byproduct or anything like that in any of our coatings. And we wanted to keep with that into the natural line as well to make it 100% sustainable, vegan, and about as good for the environment as you can make a paper.
Right. Yeah, and that's why that question's important, is it's about that sustainability again. It's not that you're going to eat it. So I always thought that was an interesting question, but that makes perfect sense. So let's talk about the energy that's made. I know the Hahnemühle factory has some very environmentally friendly, sustainable processes. It's not just the paper, it's the processes. And I understand that they are carbon neutral as well. What can you tell me about that?
Well, in Germany in general, I'll start there. Most power is wind or water or solar for that matter. And the German government is committed to having it all that way, if they haven't already, to be either wind, solar, or hydroelectric power. So we run almost exclusively off of windmills that are down the way from us, but I've driven past them and there's a whole big windmill field there. But part of the process with making paper is there is a lot of heat involved. There's energy to make the heat. We actually take the heat and reuse that to power other parts of the paper manufacturing process. So when all is said and done, we've reused as much as we possibly can without giving off any type of pollution. If you ever go to our mill and you see smoke rising, that's steam from the water. It's not actually smoke.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That there's not too many industries or companies, for that matter, that are that committed to the entire waste stream. So production and waste, and it all seems to tie together extremely well with Hahnemühle. So that's very impressive, and should give customers a bit of the warm and fuzzies when they're buying their paper, knowing that it's something that's good for the environment.
Yeah, and I want to just add the folks in Germany are very committed to finding new ways to do it as well. I've talked with them every month, maybe 2 months, about their new ideas to make things just better and more environmentally friendly.
Cool. So let's get back to the papers then, since we've discussed how impressive the production is. So is there any difference in quality between the natural line papers and the traditional pulp and cotton papers?
As far as a quality thing goes, they are at least as good, and at least as good as kind of perspective as well. Just as an example, the agave is, I don't want to say a bright white, but it's a brighter white textured paper, which is just different than, for example, the Photoreg bright white. It's a different texture. The coatings on there are very similar, so you'll get just as good an image quality. So it's going to come down to what you want your image to look like. And from a longevity perspective, like we spoke about earlier, it's at least as good as the current digital fine art range. And there are no optical brighteners in any of the natural line as well, though. So you won't get any brightener fade over time. What you see is what you get for a couple 100 years, basically.
Wow, yeah, that's pretty impressive. So what are the main differences between these three papers other than the actual base material? Because I've held them, I know the difference, but I'll let you explain.
Yeah, there's three of them papers right now. There's the bamboo paper and the hemp paper. I'll start with those two. Those two are what I would call smooth. They're not super smooth at all. And the bamboo paper is more of a natural white, whereas the hemp paper is a brighter white. But other than that, their surfaces are extremely similar. So it gives you the choice on what kind of images you want to print. If you're looking for more of a natural white base with, as an example, like earth tones and things like that, the bamboo might be a good paper for that because it'll bring out the earth tones on it a little better. Whereas the hemp is a brighter white, and you can still, of course, print the earth tones, but you can print other colors that may not be affected by that natural white. And then the agave is the exact same white point as the hemp paper. However, it's a textured paper. So if you're looking for a natural line paper that has some texture to give your image a little depth, then the agave would be the way to go, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I love the agave too. It's a beautiful paper. So now I noticed that you mentioned the words 3 right now. So does that mean that there's more papers coming in the natural line?
Yes, we're developing some new papers to go along with the natural line, just because it's been so good and people have really gotten on board with it, especially from a sustainability issue. So beginning of next year, we're going to make an announcement on some new things coming up with that, which I'm hoping for more textured personally, but we'll have to see in January.
Oh, so something like a William Turner or museum etching, maybe?
Something that's what I'm hoping for. Something like the museum etching anyway. The William Turner would be very difficult to manufacture with those fibers.
Yeah. So now where do all these materials come from? Are they grown on site or are they imported?
No, they're imported. The hemp I know for sure is grown in France. Um, and I believe that the agave is a mixture of Brazil and Mexico. I mean, anybody who's familiar with agave knows that if you're going to get it, you get it from Mexico. But Brazil also grows it as well, to make their own version of tequila that they're not allowed to call tequila because it isn't grown right there. And the bamboo comes from the Caribbean somewhere, but I don't remember which island it comes from. And I apologize for that.
Oh, that's okay.
But yeah, all of those are imported, and just from all over the world. So,
all right, oh, that's pretty interesting. So now let's talk about some specific use questions, because these are something that I get all the time from customers, because
sure.
the natural line is fairly new. It's been what, 3 or 4 years since this sub-brand of Hahnemühle papers came out. So I'm asked these quite often. As you know, PhotoReg 308 is probably the most popular paper, definitely in Canada. I love it for a lot of images. So is there anything comparable in the natural line to my favorite PhotoReg 308?
As far as the natural line goes, the hemp would definitely be the closest to the PhotoReg 308. It's got the same surface texture. Might feel slightly different because of the inkjet coating on it, but they're made with the same felts. So they're the same texture before the coating goes on. The difference is there's a slightly different white point, but we're only talking 1 or 2 points in there. So some people wouldn't notice the difference, whereas others you could definitely see a difference in white. But once it's printed on, and if you don't have like a bunch of white clouds everywhere, you probably wouldn't notice a huge difference in the print at all. It's so similar.
Ah, okay. So gives me a project. Now, is there anything that I have to do differently to print on these images? Do I need to prepare them differently in Photoshop prior to printing? Or do I have specific ICC profiles? What all do I have to do in those instances?
As far as file prep goes, there's nothing specific you need to do that you wouldn't be doing anyway to print a fine art print. There are ICC profiles specifically for these 3 papers, just like there are for every other paper in our fine art range though. So you would go to our website, and I believe there's a link on your website as well to download the profiles. And with that, it'll come with instructions on which media settings and printer settings to use in conjunction with the profile. But from a file setup perspective, there's nothing different that you'd need to do.
Oh, perfect. That makes it pretty easy then.
Yeah.
So I get asked these questions all the time. So can I use these papers in my multifunction all-in-one office inkjet printer? And can I run them through my color laser printer?
The multifunction printer, it would print on it, but it would probably get jammed, especially if it's got a 180 turn on it because it's so thick. And you'd be really doing yourself a disservice because you wouldn't get nearly the quality that you would get. Normally those are 4 to 5, maybe 6 color printers. So you'd be cutting your color gamut that you should be getting in half at least. So I would advise not using one of those, though technically it can be done. From a laser printer perspective, please don't. Please don't use it. Laser printers run by a heat process where it fuses the toner onto the paper, and there's an inkjet coating on the paper which will get kind of melted off into the fuser of the laser printer, and after a few sheets your fuser will gunk up and you'll need a new fuser. So please don't. Expensive experiment.
Yeah, very expensive. Yeah, my Xerox laser just needed a new diffuser, not because I was printing the wrong stuff, but because it's got far too many prints through it.
Yeah, they do wear out.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, that's great information, and it's nice to hear from somebody else that, yeah, the short answer is no, please don't. And if you are going to use that all in one, I guess if it's a flat paper,
Yeah, if it's got a straight through feed system, you can technically use it and the paper will go through. But again, you're going to lose a lot of quality that you'd be getting with a little better of a printer.
yeah, so that's why you don't have ICC profiles for all of those office and all-in-one printers, because they're definitely not a preferred option.
Correct. Yes.
So I think that is all of the questions that I have. Is there anything else you can tell us about these natural line papers, or have we covered everything, Travis?
I think that we've covered most everything. I'd just like to state again that they're some of my favorite papers. I know it sounds like a sales pitch, but it really isn't. The hemp and agave, I was really glad to have helped with the development of those. It took many years to get them to finally do it, and they're good papers. That, and I'm just going to throw this one out there. William Turner is my actual favorite paper, though.
Yeah, I think everybody loves William Turner. But I agree, the agave is probably my favorite from the line as well. Yeah, these are very cool papers, and just so that everybody knows, the sample packs, look for the green packaging. These are available at Vistech in 8.5, 11, as well as 13 by 19 sizes. And that's your best way to get into these, is grab a sample pack and run them through your photo inkjet printer, not your all-in-one or laser, and compare your images, see which ones you like. But I think you'll be very pleased with the results that you get. And yeah, if you have any more questions, pop over to the chat. Travis will be around. We have a couple of other representatives from Hahnemühle in our booth, so pop over, come say hi, ask any specific questions over there, and we're more than happy to help out. So thanks for your time, Travis, and I will see you in the chat booth.
All right, thanks, Will. I appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
Ciao.